Hello and welcome to episode 8 of When Pigs Fly. Welcome to all of our new subscribers. And please remember to hit that like button, button if you like what you hear. And if you don't, it's okay. We will provide a parachute for you and wish you a safe landing. So I am joined today by the fabulous Renee Masaccio and the fabulous Tracy Malhado. Good morning, ladies.
Good
Morning.
morning.
So today we wanted to kind of double down on something that we brought up a little in the previous episode, and that is we're going to start this conversation with the power of mirror work. And I'm gonna start with how ridiculous I felt the first time I did this. And man, it seems like it's almost like that fear of public speaking. I had a fear of looking in the mirror and saying to myself, I love you, which sounds crazy, but it is so worth it when you like step over that threshold and look yourself in the eye and say, I love you. You know, you're safe. It's safe for you to be a priority. I love that one. And Renee, more importantly, combining the tools that you shared with us, which is, cancel that thought and replace it with the opposite. Um, all of these things but starting with I love you is huge. And even if you feel awkward, you're still bringing that love energy into your body. And so it's like get through that awkwardness. And then like you'll find yourself going by the mirror and going, hey, you rock. Right. And letting go of that ego definition of, it's selfish and right. And that we're supposed to love everybody else first. No, it's get reestablishing that habit of I'm number one. Self-love is the priority. That's the building block for everything. And the more you love yourself, you're presenting like the biggest and highest and best version of yourself to everybody that you want to, right? To feel better and to feel that love.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. And not only that, like mirror work, people say that all the time, like, oh, mirror work. When you are looking in the mirror, like in your eyes, well, really your eye, when you get into your eye, you are looking at every single piece of you, all that you've ever been, all that you're, all that you'll be, like everything is looking back at you. And when you start to say things, like I remember the first time somebody said, well, look in the mirror and, just say something you like about yourself. And there was nothing I could think of. It was excellent. And then I finally was like, well, you're a nice person. And then I could actually like I would actually see myself looking at my eye and saying the entire statement. When it progressed and they were like, okay, we just try and say, I love you. I was like looking at the mirror and I'd be like, I love you. And I was like looking down, so that's an indicator that parts of you don't believe that. They're like, no, no. So when you just start off with saying things that you like about yourself, or things that other people have said to you, that you're like, you might be like, oh yeah, I don't really believe that, but say it and see where it lands, and realign with that beautiful being of light, that beautiful body that you are. Because when I'm looking at the energy and somebody saying, when I say, okay, well, do some mirror work, and they're like, oh yeah, no, I've tried that before, it doesn't really work. I'm like, okay, but when I'm looking at the bodies and the energies, a lot of those systems mean different bodies of you, the inner children, the little pieces of you, because as you were growing up, something happened to you, that particular age, that body is not looking back at you. A lot of times they will be faced the other way. They'll be outside of you. So when you say I realign, or something with realignment, I realign with all that I am, what I see is all those bodies like come back into alignment. Instead of being like everywhere, they come back into alignment. But it's really you starting to communicate to your bodies who and what your truth are, what you were desiring to be. Don't look at that, this is the trauma I had. You're looking at the now. Well, who am I right now? Who do I want to be? Because it's really who you are. People say, oh, well, I made this up. No, you didn't make it up. That's your soul speaking to you and saying, this is who you are. So, and even if you don't know what love is, I love you, because you really do love all aspects of you. You're in the history channel saying all these things happened to me and I shouldn't be, and other people told me this is who I am, and so now I have to, whatever, do that. And that's not the way it really is. When you start to do that mirror work, just start with anything and everything that you like. You know, like I said, I started with I'm a nice person. It did progress into I was like, oh, I like my eyes.
Yeah.
Like, and I was
Yeah.
like, oh, you've got
And
nice looking eyes. Like it was great, but it starts to grow and you'll
yeah.
feel that in you. Listen and feel. And what is really important to say here for all the work that we do, all the energy work and just the normal stuff, when you're doing things, and out of nowhere, you take that deep breath, like you don't even recognize you're saying something, and all of a sudden you're like, ah, you've made a big energetic shift in your body.
Yeah.
Like that is such a powerful, powerful thing. But mirror work really is such a huge, huge component for you moving forward and becoming and being who and what you really want to be, which is really who you truthfully are. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And you touched on something too there, Renee. Stay with it.
Yes.
Stay with it. It's extremely awkward. It's
Hmm.
extremely awkward. But just know that on the backside of that, like you said, when you have that a yawn or a deep breath, that sigh of relief this is what your soul's been guiding you to remember, that we're
Yes.
remembering the truth of who we are, which is pure love. And so it's that relief is you're like when you're exhaling, that's that resistance and that contraction energy is leaving your body. And now you're allowing the love that was there to shine and to spread out. It's now you're being expansive again. You're allowing that growth to happen. So, it's and you can't like look in the mirror for 3 days and go, I love you, and then go, okay, Renee, I want my money back. Nothing happened. What are you talking about? It's you be patient with it, and the you feel a shift is all I could say, and you just set an intention to do that, and it doesn't take a lot of time. That's the other thing. You don't have to sit in front of the mirror. It's that you right because in the act of doing it in the mirror, you're clearing that energy
Mm.
right there, and that does sets you up to
Yeah.
right to stay in that space with clean energy.
And I think a key component to that is, and Patty, you had mentioned this once before, when we are going back into who and what we truthfully are, that beautiful being of light, you don't recognize. It's such an easy transition. You're not recognizing you're doing that. So I really would recommend you every day in the morning, in the evening, whatever it is, look back at that day or look at yesterday. What did I not react to? What changed from yesterday to today? Was I able to look at myself in the mirror more? Was I brushing my teeth and usually I'm looking down, but now I'm actually looking in the mirror? And even when you brush teeth and you're looking in the mirror, just think it. You don't have to say it out
Yes.
loud because I know a lot of my clients would go, I'm not going to say that. My husband's thinking I'm crazy. First of all, who cares what
Who
they
cares?
think? This is about you. But
True.
just think it then. Think because you're looking into your eyes, you're communicating with all aspects of you and telling every part of you, basically, it's okay to come forward. And you can say that it's okay for us to shine our light. It's okay to be bright in the world. It's okay for us to like ourselves. And then you'll eventually go to, it's okay to love
Yeah. Yeah.
myself.
As
You
you
know,
are.
yeah, exactly.
As
Yes.
you are.
Yeah, that's a
That's
big
the thing we gotta drive home,
one.
not
Mhm.
for anybody else and not based on somebody else's standards and trying to fit in. It's no, as you are, your pure love.
Right. Exactly. Tracy, what's your take?
So I'm gonna approach it from a little different standpoint. With the mirror work, I had said to Renee and Patty in the break how when my kids were growing up, we used to kind of do little happy dances around the house, and we had this little song of "Yes, I am," "Yes, I can," "Yes, I do," "Wahoo!" And we would walk around and we'd sing it. And also when we were like I had them in the bath or just whenever and another song was when you're kind of bathing or I was rubbing whatever on them. I love you, I love you, I'm not a good singer. I love you, you're beautiful, you're amazing, and I love you. And I would do that to myself if I was putting oil on. So that is not mirror work, but it is another form of doing the same thing. And I kind of like to say I backdoored into all of this work because I actually didn't seek out teachers or methods. I started getting messages and intelligence and downloads. And then I would be like, oh my gosh, is anyone talking about this? So all of this world came to me very differently. Auto writing. I started auto writing and I would just get these things and then search for people. And oh my gosh, there's so many people now. Like it's so amazing. 10 years ago, right? You would be getting these concepts and these ideas, and you're kind of like, is anyone getting the same stuff I am? So it's so awesome that we have so much access. But so there's so many variations of mirror work because, and I just want to touch on Renee, you're speaking to what happens energetically because I almost see that first. I've always been kind of able to sense the energy and the mechanics behind what's happening. And I guess I'm going to say for me, just looking in the mirror saying, I love you, don't let it be just that. Like, I think attaching, like if I'm the one looking in the mirror saying, I love you, to really be in what you're doing, right? Just don't have it be words. And I think even just having the words is powerful. I'm not saying that doesn't do anything, but I love how Renee, you actually just explained what happened in the energetics behind, because I find that cool. I find that fascinating.
Yeah, good. Yeah. And it is. And even if you don't, and when I say, just say it, a lot of times you don't believe it. Like, like I said, I didn't know what love was. So for me to say I love you to my body, or, when looking in the mirror, didn't really mean anything. Like I couldn't feel it. But I can say now I came into that like, this isn't going to do anything. Like this
Same
is,
here.
yeah. And it
Do
was,
it.
yeah, when I finally was like, okay, I'll say it because, that's what you told me to do. And I looked and I was like, okay, I love you. And not that I was looking in the mirror, but I was like, yeah, I love you. Like I could not look in my eyes for a long, long time.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, right before you give up on anything that you're doing, right before you give, you're almost like right there.
Yeah.
It's like, I use the analogy of like, here is, you're in this big path. There's a fence and there's the other path.
Yeah.
You're running all the work that you're doing. You are running through that path and you've jumped up on that fence. When you're on that fence, right about to jump over and finally make that whole shift within all aspects of you, that is when people usually stop.
Yeah.
That didn't work. And I'm like, oh my God, you were right there. You're right there. So now what happens is now you're jumping back down and you're going back because you're recreating. It's not once, when I see the energy, people are like, oh my God, this came back, and it didn't come back. That, disdain or whatever you had for yourself when you started to shift, that didn't come back. It's gone. When it leaves, what I do is I see it go, and it goes to about, like, if you were to put your arm out, it goes to about like just beyond your hand, and then it turns back into unconditional love because we've judged it as something else. Okay,
Yeah.
so it's gone. You cannot recreate. You cannot, bring it back. You can recreate it. And that's what a lot of times people will do. And or another layer will come up. We're like this onion. So now you're making that shift and that change, and you're moving through that path and you're peeling off the layers. And then you get up there and then you go over the fence because you're going to stay with the work, right? You're going to go to the fence, and now you're in this like, oh, this is great. And then all of a sudden something small comes up and you have this little thing like, oh, I remember this feeling. Ah, I thought I got rid of that. You did get rid of it. You did get rid of it. Now your system is saying to you, okay, come on. You've been this all your life, and this is really like in this little piece of you now. We're going to bring it back because you're doing so great. We know you're going to let this go. But the human body, what do? Oh my God, this is back. I had this. What do I got to do? Yeah, you judge the crap out of it. You jump down a rabbit hole of all the things you have to do. Stay with the same work. It worked.
Yeah.
You shifted and changed, right?
Absolutely. It's funny. There's a story in Think and Grow Rich that talks about this. They stopped digging for gold 10 feet shy of the gold.
Mhm.
And think of it, the the work didn't go away. You've already made it that far. So you've dug your way this far, and then you gave it up, and then the next person took it over, and boom, they only had to go 10 feet. Right. But so it's essentially it's what you're saying, and it's be patient.
Mm,
And now with the way the energies are shifting, because I know our viewers are interested in energy, because the energies are shifting and purging that so quickly. You're going to see, you will see and feel it a lot quicker. But yeah, staying with it, through, I was the same as you, Renee. Couldn't look. I would look down. I would look down, and and then I set a goal of, let me just be able to look in the eye and say it 10 times. That was
wow.
my thing. And I'll tell you, when I first started, I would get to 3 and then start looking down. And it was like, it was like an internal little tug of war.
Mhm.
And but then you feel that, when you feel that shift, and then you can bring in other components, right? Like, we're safe.
Mm,
We're right. And because you're talking to all parts when you're talking in the mirror. And it's like, okay, do I not feel safe? Then it's safe to be me. It's right. It's safe to love, it's safe to love me. And it's whatever you feel. Find words. This is so important too. Find words that resonate with you. So if something worked for me, you may choose different words, and it's got to feel 100% good to you. But just play with it. If there's a word that you find is causing you some resistance, swap it out with something that has no resistance.
right, right. And I think, the key there was that you're saying, something that feels right to you. Now, sometimes it's not going to feel right.
Right.
Or, you're saying, okay, well, this is what I want it to be. Okay, we'll start off with that, because eventually, as you're saying that, something will shift. Something's going to change, and then all of a sudden the word comes to you. You might not think you're going to say it. And this had happened to me. Like, when I was gonna, like, I was finally able to look at myself in the eyes and say, okay, I like you. You're really a nice person, and you've got nice eyes. And I was really looking there, and then all of a sudden I was like, and I love you. And I was like, oh, what? Like, it was such a shocking thing that my system was like, because you're responding, your bodies are all responding, and you're really making that connection, that energetic connection. And when you're doing that, you're making such a stronger connection with all aspects of you, that you're moving and shifting not only your energetic body, but the physical form into what I'll say is, the new timeline, the new path. Because when I see the energies, there's always a lot of paths open for us. And I guess, you can look at it and say, do I want to keep walking down this path? But the more you're doing that stuff, what I see is like, okay, so here's all these paths, right? So you're walking down this path and you're slowly starting to do, and all of a sudden you're on this whole other path.
Yeah, you're changing your
That's where
trajectory. Yeah.
yeah, and that's where that whole piece of, like, we had ended last conversation with the whole aspect of, okay, I love you. Like, send that love through your body at night. You're not be looking at anything. It goes to what, Tracy, you were saying. Like, you don't have to be looking in the mirror to make those changes and those shifts, but recognize it.
Mhm.
Take the time to actually feel it and be, and shine that beautiful light of who and what you are, because it's
Yeah.
okay to shine,
Yeah.
regardless of what anybody told you. Like, go of everybody else's stories that they know about you. What is your story that you have with them? Right?
Yeah. And saying it in your head is very, really important. Saying it in your head does not diminish the power in any way. We only use words. Our words are an expression of our consciousness. So if you're just using your consciousness in a different way, it has the exact same power. So if you have to just stand there and stare in the mirror and think, I love you, that it is no less powerful than saying it. Like, for me, I felt so awkward about it that I thought, okay, if I can actually say it, I knew. But again, like, say you're in a situation where you're starting to feel uncomfortable in a social setting, right? And see, you get out and say, "Oh, I'm going to fix my lipstick," and just stare in that mirror and go, "I love you. I was just about to make myself small. I love you." Close your compact and move on. And so you can use this in broad daylight in front of other people, and they have no idea you're using it, and you are shifting your energy.
Yeah, yeah. Or you're feeling uncomfortable and that, and not having to look in the mirror and just be thinking, okay, I'm walking in with confidence. Yeah, so a lot of times we're walking into these places that we don't even know, right? We don't know people. Like, oh my God, like I didn't, and you start to play small, you're like, no, Like, these people don't know me. I'm confident. I'm coming in here confident because I'm strong and I'm bright and I'm strong, or whatever it is. Think that, like, talk yourself into that, because you're not buying into the old version of you, that old identity. Let that one go. Let her stay outside, or him stay outside of that door.
Yeah.
And you're going to walk into, a
Yeah.
room of whatever who you want
You
to
wait
be.
here. I'm going to go rock this shit.
Exactly, right? And Tracy, you deal with a lot of people, like in the restaurant, and your kids are teenagers and all this. So you must see a lot of this in a different way, from that aspect of how they're showing up and shining their light and all that.
Yeah, definitely. And it's a interesting perspective to look at, because I think a lot of people are very concerned, especially I do have two teenagers, and with all the social media out there, so all the points of comparison, and you know, let's be honest, a lot of it's crap. There's so many filters, and only post the best this, and God, they've learned all the angles to take the best shot and all that stuff. I think it's a more complex matrix for a lot of people to navigate through, because it's a two-pronged thing, that being authentically in yourself, your true version of yourself, for one, it's different than what's projected out there, right? So unless you've got all the fluff and the glitter and the glam, do you see what I'm saying? To just be raw and authentic and still walk into a place with confidence, that is, I think we need to distinguish between those two factors. Like, a lot of life right now is bullshit. Like I said, it's filters, it's posturing, it's really not what is. So in that, I kind of might be scrambling. What I'm trying to get at here is wanting someone to really be authentic and love themselves in all the versions, and really hold that place of strength and confidence, while still existing in a world of a lot of smoke and mirrors.
Yeah. Shine your light.
Shine your light, and shine your true light. Like, you
Oh,
don't
yeah.
have Botox
Yeah.
lips and that and this and that, right? And I'm gonna just say, I think it's a challenge. I think it's going to get much easier, because there's different energies available. But I think it's important and valuable to bring up that for teenagers, and for someone who hasn't stepped into the level of confidence that we might have stepped into, yeah, that is your reality, but still try and shine your light and your authentic light, not your
Yeah.
Facebook, Instagram, Snap, whatever
Yeah.
light.
Well, for me, the way I share this with young people is, you're a soul in a body having an experience. And remembering that, and not being so judgmental, and putting everything on the physical, and understanding that that's part of, like, there's the social pressure, right? And peer pressure, but just going, okay, I'm going to indulge my soul. This is the most lovable part of me. And look at, we even use the term, what do we say? We say we soulmates, right? So we kind of skirt around it. But if you look at that and look at other people as just another soul, you get out of that judgment and the need to perform and the need to, and if you approach it from a place of, I'm a soul in a body, it's a little bit, for me, it helps them ease their way a little more, and towards that, having the confidence, and to be able to shine their light, and saying, okay, this, I'm going to come with the best version of me, is my soul.
Well,
And
I forgot to mention
right.
too, because this is important, and you spoke to it, to not to dim your light, dumb yourself down, make yourself less than, so you fit in. And that's big
Yeah.
with, I'm going to say that's big with teenagers, with 20 somethings. To fit in, shining your light takes a lot of guts and a lot of courage, being really authentic. So I see a lot of them turning themselves down, modifying themselves, not up, down, so they fit in with everyone else. So I forgot to mention that, which I think is, and that apply. I mean, I see grown adults in their 60s and 70s doing it. Like, what are you doing? Why? That's not you. Why are you pretending to be less than yourself so you can fit in? Like, we need people to stand out. Not to override you, Patty, but I didn't want to
No,
not.
you didn't at all. This is, that's exactly what, what I was, speaking to. Absolutely. It's a great point.
Yeah. And what I love about that, Teresa, because I know you, so I know when you're seeing that, you're actually saying something, right? Like, are you like, as somebody's like starting to, look at things a different way? Oh, I'm this, I'm that, or not shining their light and they're going down. You actually say something. Am I correct?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
And
go ahead, Renee.
no, go ahead.
I was gonna, because when we talk, my head goes in a lot of different places. And when we were doing mirror work, I don't know why I kept getting in the, like, what happened to naked happy dancing? We do it with our kids. There is no shame with the body. We don't care what our body looks like. We're that raw, we're that vulnerable, and we're that beautiful. And I
Mhm.
remember, I don't know what happened to me because I have been this all growing up. It's like I don't want to say I don't have an awareness, but I really don't. Like, I don't know where I got this blind faith of, in college, I'd be walking around naked in the apartment. They'd be like, for the love of God, put some fucking clothes on. What if someone comes over? And I'm like, oh, is someone coming over? Like, I really did. Like, I didn't have that shame of my body that I don't know how we all get that, but we do, right? Collectively. I'm not going to lie. I don't, right? We look in the mirror and we want to look good. I own that. But I was thinking of that, like, God, if we could get back to that, like, I know that's crazy talk, but what if you could stand naked in the mirror and be like, I love you. And I mean, all of you,
Oh,
every
you
wrinkle,
have to do it. The
every,
sooner you
so
do it, the better.
but
Oh,
that's what I'm saying. We were
yeah.
saying eyes. I'm like, oh no, full
Mhm.
body, and then go through your house and be like, I love this. This is
Yeah.
awesome. Like, if right, like, we could get to
It's,
that.
it,
Wowzer.
And what's
it's, yeah.
interesting, you said this, it sort of goes on to something else, but from an energetic point, you walking through your house and saying, I love this, but also I love this, like
Mhm.
everything in the house. What I see from an energetic point is the energy of the house begins to shift. Because
Yeah.
think about it, we're in there if we're having a bad time, or other people are in there with us and they're having a bad time, they're questioning, they're doubting. That energy is looming around. And we're
Yeah.
going to connect into that at some point, or we're going to walk through it and it's, might want to connect in. But when you're saying, I love this, and you're just mean everything, that you're seeing, everything that you're not seeing, love that you're really shifting the energetic field of the house. And I don't know if anybody's ever walked into a house and like, oh, I mean, it can be beautiful. You're like, oh, geez, it just doesn't feel right. I remember walking into this house and you were going there for a party and I was like, oh my God, such a beautiful house. I can't wait to see it. And you walked in and it just was so cold. It wasn't a friendly event. And I was like, oh man, I just want to get out
Yeah.
of here.
Yeah. Can we
You
open the
know,
front door and invite some love in here?
yeah. And
Yeah.
then, what I do is then I'm like, okay, look at, I'm surrounding myself with love and I'm in this bubble of love and this is just carrying me through. And then I could feel that warmth. And I'm like, okay, I'm good. And it did, because we can do something about the energy we're in and all that stuff. But so that sort of went off on a tangent. But Tracy, let me go back to you saying something like, hey, shine your light, like be that beautiful light. I see like in the overall consciousness, there's this grid. Okay. And we all have grids, but this grid, like picture the lines going down, then the lines going across. Okay. It's almost like little boxes. When you say something, when somebody says something to start to re-question and shift your thought form, I see those lines all of a sudden start to become wobbly. The more that is said, and this is what's happening as you're saying, I love my body, you're looking in the mirror in the eyes, whatever it is, all of a sudden one of those lines will just break off. So not only are you changing you, but you are changing that for the overall consciousness of the world. And enough people get, like, once that enough people get it, that whole overall consciousness gets it. And now the whole world gets it. It's
Yeah.
like,
You're
that.
radiating.
Yes.
You are literally radiating it outward. And that's what we're talking about, expansion versus contraction, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
We literally radiate. And I know this comes up. I'm sure you've had this with your clients. They'll say, oh, but what if my significant other isn't awake and it feels awkward? But I'm like, you must do you. They have
Yeah.
their own journey and their own experience, but in you raising, bringing love to yourself and expanding your love field, you are helping them, but it's not your job to wake them up. It's your job to stay in your own consciousness and be aware and and do right?
Right.
We're-
Yeah, because we don't know what their journey is.
right.
They might not be here to experience the same things we are, but what are we trying to do? We're judging that, number one. So let go of the
Yeah.
judgment. We're judging them. Oh, they should be doing it my way. This is
Yeah.
what works for me. Well, no, it's gonna work differently. And trust me when I say a lot of the significant others, boyfriend, girlfriends, whatever it is, you may say something to them. Oh, you know what I did, do this or that. And they're like, I'm not doing that stuff. But you know what? A lot of them are doing it. They're just not going to tell us that they're doing it.
Yeah. True.
Right. So it's that aspect, but allow them to have their own journey. And exactly what you said, Patty, as you're shifting and changing, the energy around you is shifting and changing. They automatically get it. So all of a sudden, you may think, especially, I get this a lot with, women talking about the men that, oh my God, well, because they're not doing this, they're not doing this. I'm like, I don't know what it is with a lot of the men's energy. They don't need to do things like we do, like, females do. They get it, like they can just, say something and boom, it's just done. Like it's crazy to me. And I'm like, oh my God, I want to get there.
Right.
So let go of the judgment and know that that whole energy is changing. Just you, exactly what you said, Betty. You do you, and the rest will shift and change.
Yeah. Yeah. And the way they get there is going to be totally different.
Absolutely.
And it's
Absolutely.
okay. And like you said, they may hear you, saying doing a certain practice a lot, and then from a stranger or a different source, hear the same words and process it completely differently, and then come to you and say, "Hey, guess what I just heard?" And you might go, "I just been freaking telling you this for 15 years. Are you kidding me?" But it's right. Where are they at in their journey, and where are you tuned into, right? And just having that awareness, right? Are you tuning into the shit show channel or not? Right. So wow, we rambled through 30 minutes quickly here. Tracy, any closing thoughts? I see the wheels turning there.
No, I see energy grids like Renee does, and this will be for another conversation because it's fascinating because it's going to get easier and easier and things that they won't be available anymore. And I know that's a hard concept to wrap your head around, but Renee, I know you see it, and I'm always like, well, how does that work? And how are we, having a conversation with. So it's exciting because there's really awesome availability and non-availability coming down our way. So I think we just do what we do. And even if no one else is, like, I just keep doing it for myself and knowing that the ripple effect is becoming so much more strong, which is very exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Beautiful.
I'm saying what I keep hearing is saying, don't look for the hows or whys, like, because a lot of this is like, well, why? Why is this? Let go of the why out of your vocabulary. You do not need to know what the why is. That holds you into that struggle bus, holds you back into the history. Let it go.
Yeah. Well said. Wow, what a great conversation. If you're listening on the replay and you like what you hear, please smash the like button and subscribe. And if it's not resonating, we wish you a farewell and enjoy the parachute ride. It's fun. What else? Okay, I think we're gonna wrap this one up, and this is gonna lead into a fun discussion on our next episode. I can see Tracy's already formulating it, and I love watching the wheels turn there. So ladies, thank you, and we'll see you next episode.
Thank you.